Oh, that was so good.
Why are you making weird sexual noises right off the get?
I don't know, but I'll tell you, there's a groundskeeper at the retreat that I was at. He was the only man on the island. I mean, I don't even know what my type is, but like normally I wouldn't go for this guy. But he was working with his shirt off one day and I was basically drooling, gawking at him. Then I wrote this erotic short story for all the women just to like have their fantasy with Joe the groundskeeper. And I didn't realize how thirsty I was until I was writing that story. And I'm creeped out by myself.
Welcome to Shut the Fuck Up, Nick Lachey. Two horny old ladies
So horny.
talk about their weird sexual desires, and we recap the Netflix streaming TV show of brilliance, which is called Love is Blind. And we also want Nick Lachey to shut the fuck up. And I'm Ellyn Marsh, and the horny person across the screen from me is Daisy Egan.
That's me.
What is your type, Daisy?
You know, I don't even know. I'm married to a man, which is generally not my type at all. You know, I like butchy women. I like Colin Farrell. I'm trying to think of other men. You know, John Hamm, I think, could get it, but I think it's also because he's hung like a donkey.
Right. You know I go for younger men, right?
Oh, yeah. And I know, like, Izzy's your type.
He's not my type. Just out of all of them, he would be. And I imagine that 30-year-old me would have probably sat on it a couple times and then got super bored.
Yeah.
But we're going to find out he has a big dick.
We are. Apparently, he needs magnums.
Are you a size queen?
Yeah, I am.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
If a man was a solid 5, also good with other stuff like the oral workout, you would be like, not big enough for my huge puss.
Yeah, my vagina is cavernous.
Right. Yeah.
If you yell into it, it's going to echo, echo, echo.
Right.
But no, I've had 3 instances in my life where a man has taken out like a teeny peeny, like a micro. The first time, apparently, we had sex, I didn't know that was happening.
Right.
And then the other 2 times, I was like, nothing's going to happen, my friend.
Okay. Well, you heard it here. Daisy Egan is a size queen, and she will reject your teeny peeny.
Pocolini. I'm sorry.
Should we jump into the episode? We have so much to cover. Every time I start noting an episode, I was like, people can't possibly stomach us for how much I have to say about everything.
There's so much. We're going to need a real serious therapy session after this.
Well, I normally don't watch the show recaps because I am like, I watch these so intently, I don't need to recap it. But it was just sort of on as I was getting my notes out. And they replayed the moment when producer John, that's not his real name, everybody, came over the loudspeaker and said Aaliyah wasn't continue. And I actually had all those crazy emotional feelings again because much like COVID, this is unprecedented.
It is unprecedented. And we left last episode with me on a rant about how I think she was protecting herself. Like you said at the very beginning, where you start with this journey is not going to be where you end up. But we'll find out about that. We also learned from one of our listeners, and now I can't find it because I'm a dickhead, that all the contestants stay for the whole time and that some people actually get engaged and go through the whole thing and get cut from the show, which is wild because where are they on the beach vacation?
And what did they do so wrong that they got cut?
Honestly.
Were they boring? Were they too pretty? Were they too ugly? Did they say something that was really problematic? I would love that TV show as well. I want to watch it all. Let me decide.
100%, 120%. I think that I would 120% watch that. And also, if they said something problematic, isn't that good television?
Right.
But also, where are they?
Let's write a letter.
Okay.
Let's all tweet. I don't have Twitter anymore. I mean, it's there. I just don't even open it. I can't even find the app.
Yeah.
It's X now. It's not even blue. The bird is gone. I don't know what's happening.
He needed to make it more manly.
He needs to make a lot of things more manly, including his weird ass face. So we start in the living quarters, and Uche has just come in and told the men what happened. And Milton just says he's sorry, which, what are you supposed to say? And I watch it with subtitles, and it says Uche scoffs. And I just wrote, that tracks.
He has no idea why Aaliyah left. No idea.
Yeah, and he tells the guys what happened. They're obviously dumbfounded, and the camera sort of pans to all the men. And of course, JP is wearing a navy blue shirt with 10,000 stars on it.
Oof, JP.
Like the flag. You all buckle the fuck up.
The JP journey is, I haven't even finished processing it. I wrote poor Uche. I think I meant like he feels so bad for himself. He's like, it doesn't make any sense. All the men are like, what, bro? Although you can't expect any of them to be like, well, to be honest, you are a narcissist, and I'm not surprised.
Remember, we know about this whole Lydia thing, but the guys don't.
Right.
So he tells the guys this whole story, and Uche says there's got to be something missing. And for the first time, I agree with you, Uche. There is something missing. It's your fucking accountability. And your ability to put your ego aside and realized that you fucked this up. But Uche remains gobsmacked.
He really walks around with his head somewhere else. Up his own asshole.
He's like a picture. He's so still. So he asks the producers, he's like, she left on a plane? Like a jet one?
No.
Well, no, I added that part. No, but he's like, she left on a plane? No, bitch. What do you mean? Gobsmackery continues. And he's like, I don't get it. We were on the same page. We said we loved you. We said we were so excited to start a life. And he's like, I'm fine as hell. What the hell is going on? This man looks more confused than a 19-year-old frat boy looking for the clitoris. He is so confused and devastated, and he's really sad, but put a pin in that.
Then we go into Uche's confessional, and the producer asks if he wants them to call Aaliyah, and he's like, yeah. So they call her. So she agrees to talk to Uche. They put her on speaker, obviously, and he's like, WT, the literal F.
Right.
She says something that I was very surprised about and also very confused about. She says that there was an exchange of words between herself and Lydia. I'm not sure if I understood this properly, but what I thought I heard was Lydia told her to fuck off. Am I right?
Well, she said basically like they had words and Aaliyah's like, you know what? You can have him. And Lydia said, fuck you. I don't want him back.
Right.
But we don't know what that fight is. Maybe they're hanging on to that fight like Cutie Gate for us.
I sure hope so, because I'd really like to see it.
I would love to see it. I really want to know how the exchange happened. I feel like she was like, Lydia was coming on really strong. It was sort of like where we left off in that last conversation. Okay, so put a pin in that. And then Uche was like, you let some girl come between us.
He's also super patronizing. His tone with her is so gross.
I was like, sir, she is not a fucking child. And he's like, where are you? Why did you go home? Mind you, Aaliyah's sobbing. She is audibly sobbing. And Uche, again, throwing those rapid fire questions. Why did you let some girl come between us? What are you doing? Why did you leave? Why aren't you here? Like, who spilled this spaghetti sauce? His tone is patronizing as fuck.
And then she says, I still love you. I still want you. And I screamed.
Yeah.
He is scary.
He says, well, if you love somebody, you talk to them. I have a question for you, Daisy. Answer it to the best of your ability. Who, and I mean this with my whole chest, the fuck does Uche think he is? Because don't get it twisted. He's emotional. Right? But his emotions are not coming from losing Aaliyah or the fact that Aaliyah broke his heart. These emotions are from losing.
And being embarrassed.
Aaliyah chose herself and his ego is bruised. I can hold space for Aaliyah sort of leaving without an explanation. I do understand your take on it, but also like maybe a note, maybe an email. I don't like him, this we know. That is the only thing I can like leave space for.
I think a note would have been the right move there. To just say like, I'm so sorry, but I have to go. Anything.
I'm sorry, I can't. Don't hate me. You don't know what that's from. Yeah, one time Carrie got broken up with a Post-it and the Post-it said, I'm sorry, I can't.
Wow.
Don't hate me.
He sounds nice.
Jack Berger. And then Aaliyah asks a question or poses a question to Uche. And she says, what if Lydia was maybe at your house and saw your Love is Blind application or saw that your cachet went to www, so you want to be on loveisblind.com or whatever, and she intentionally went on the show? What do you think of that?
Oh my God. That is so much work. Like, that just sounds like a lot of work, and it makes me exhausted to even think about the steps that you'd have to go through, and also just like how calculating you'd have to be. And also, like, doesn't she have a job? It's just a lot to go through.
I get where Aaliyah's brain would be because she's devastated and she wants answers and everyone wants closure. But then, just to really solidify what Uche the Duce is like, he says this.
Cannot believe this. Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm such a fucking idiot.
No, you're not.
Oh, this is exactly what I thought was gonna happen. I was gonna let myself get close to the wrong person.
This is something else I want you to think about. This man is such a master manipulator. He manipulated production into calling Aaliyah, right? Because he was acting emotional and sad and distraught. And the minute Aaliyah got on the phone, he started berating her, yelling at her. Then he hangs up the phone and says, I don't want to talk to her. I was like, babe, you called her, you gaslighting son of a bitch. What do you mean you don't want to talk to her?
First of all, you literally just did. You treated her like garbage.
I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you heard, but the condescending tone that he used, all the me's, all the I's, all these things that you did, how could you, saying girl 27 times, calling everybody a girl. And then I guess he's gone.
Gone from the show? Gone?
Yeah.
It would be great if we don't have to deal with him. But again, I've been wrong in the past. That one time. We don't talk about it. So then we go to the pre-tunnel of love, where Lydia is getting ready to see Milton. I have a question that maybe you do know the answer to. Do you know where they get the ring?
I actually have heard that they have to buy it.
But when and where?
I've actually heard that they pay for it. The magical ring store.
What is it? The Bachelor? What's his face?
Neil Lane.
Yeah, comes and like shows them rings. I was wondering if it was something like that.
That name actually took up space in my gray matter. Did you see how fast that came? Like, I don't have real things in there, but I have that information in there.
So now Lydia's saying, you know, I don't know anything about him. I don't know what color he is. I don't know this. I don't know that. I don't know, is he too tall or too short? I'm like, okay, if there's one thing you know about Milton, he's too tall.
Yeah.
We have established that. We also had another Patreon member say that it's possible he has Marfan's disease, which is a disease in which people are very tall and then they die. That is possible, except you'd think he would have said that specifically. And he hasn't.
I don't want to bring down the room. We are all going to die.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. What? I'm not. So that's fine.
It's just, yeah.
Okay. So they meet in the tunnel of love.
Right. The doors open, and first I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And then she jumps into his arms, and they immediately kiss.
Yeah.
And we will find out later that they actually do have a pretty good and easy rapport. But for now, Milton is awkward as fuck. He's like, your hair is curly.
You are a woman.
Your dress is red. Birds have wings. And they're making out a lot.
Yeah. Yes, they are making out a tremendous amount. And then he goes to propose.
This is so funny.
And he's so awkward. And the first thing he does is he pulls a rock out of his pocket instead of the ring box.
I actually don't think that was a joke. I think he actually had a literal rock in his pocket. And he was like, I was looking for you.
Oops.
Jasper, because he names them in my head.
Of course he does. And then he's holding the box upside down and she's just standing there waiting. And she says yes, like right away, which I guess I'm not that surprised about because, I think she is very excited to get married. I think that's her main goal in life. But then I wrote, she's either a great actor or she really is actually sort of into him.
They're making out a lot. They are the most affectionate couple that I can't even recall a more affectionate couple. They are making out a lot. I kind of feel like that's what everyone would want to do. If you really are into someone and then you see them and everything works and everything is placed together, you're going to want to like kiss them real, real bad.
Yeah. They do enough kissing that Milton says he can't stand up.
Well, he doesn't have long to live. Let him live his life.
Yeah. I don't know if you all understand what that means, but what it means is that his penis was erect.
They actually, for now, seem legitimately happy. I'm quite confident it will fade, but I have been wrong. I was also wrong in the late aughts that one time.
We don't talk about it.
I don't think it'll last, but they seem happy, so maybe we're dead ass wrong.
Maybe we are. I don't know if you caught this, but they were saying like, I love you, I love you. She says, I love you more. And he goes, probably.
Yeah. The amount of awkward things that come out of Milton's mouth, I'm like, just kiss. Just stop talking. Kiss. Yeah. I don't know. Hold a rock, get a boner, whatever you need to do. But just stop talking.
So now we go back to our favorite two people of the franchise.
Well, it had to come back on our screens. And Nick Lachey says,
3 couples have fallen in love and gotten engaged without ever seeing each other.
So Nick Lachey just tells us everything we already know about the game.
Right.
So I'm going to beg you, Nick Lachey, to shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. I don't think there's ever been only 3 couples at this point.
Never. There's usually like 5.
Yeah. We are going to get to know these people.
Yeah, I feel like they were like, you know what? These suites have gotten real expensive. So we're going to need to trim it down. And also flowers. Flowers are astronomical these days. Let's try and trim it to 3. Why didn't they choose some of the other couples? I'm so confused.
It's so bizarre.
So they pull into this beautiful resort. Everyone all of a sudden has their beach clothes and their beach dresses and their sun hats. And JP has a shit ton of American flag stuff and probably a good selection of Tommy Bahama shirts, maybe some Vineyard Vines shirts.
Tap out hats. And we go into JP and Taylor's. You know, we have the requisite like, oh, I brought so many bags. Ha 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 ha.
Right.
Did make me think of you, though, Ellyn, and I was missing you. Yeah.
Why did it make you think of me?
I don't know if you're aware of this about yourself. You pack a lot of clothes when you go places. You have a lot of baggage.
That's a big statement. And a true statement.
So we go to Taylor and JP's room. There's a violin player.
Who they ignore. They ignore his entire existence. This poor violin player is playing some concerto. Nary a bravo in sight. Nothing. Like, that was beautiful. Thank you. They're like, give me my golden goblets and look at how pretty these rose petals are. The poor violin guy was like, oh my God, did you guys not hear my violin?
I guess I'll leave.
And they're like, yummy Aperol spritzes. Yum, yum, yum. What's that noise?
They kiss. And Taylor literally says, ow.
Because he's fucking her face like a woodpecker.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's so bad. You can tell he's nervous. And he says, I don't know what we're supposed to do now. And Taylor says, act normal. And I'm like, well, if you guys were super into each other, go fucking mash your pissers together and see if it works out. Like, what do we do now?
Mash your pissers. I know. She says that he has stinky breath.
Yeah. She says stinky breath, which must have been devastating on television, but also kind of call it because he keeps saying, no, so cold. You know.
That's what I was wondering. I knew it. I think maybe he has halitosis and maybe that's why he kisses that way.
Here's my major question. Ugh. Who okayed that? Because I would like to interview JP's exes. Like, women, it is sort of your duty to correct these things. Like, no one ever grabbed his face and was like, kiss me like this. Give me your lips. Like, I actually want to talk to these other women and was like, why did you do that? I feel like when you have a partner and then you let him go, you should have taught him some things. Listen, I'm glad we're on the Patreon because I can say this freely. I have 100% set some men free with impeccable oral skills. I want a Yelp review for my teaching because I have taught you that shit and it's really good. I want you to connect me with your ex because I want her to say thank you to me.
Absolutely. And I think that's that's our lot in life, you know, with the men that we do these weird things with. Taylor then tells JP that she cried after meeting him and he has zero things to say to her to reassure her. He doesn't say, you look really pretty. I was so happy to meet you. I'm so glad you, like, nothing. He just sits there with that weird little smirk on his face saying nothing.
This is the time that I start to feel really bad for Taylor and it's just gonna go downhill from here. We go to the suite with Izzy and Stacy and Stacy's like, oh, what are you thinking about? I'm like, shut the fuck up with the what are you thinking about?
Yeah, and she still can't express her own feelings. Everything is still, my heart is pounding, my this and that.
Yeah, they seem to be really physical. Yeah, they're probably going to bang a bunch tonight after a fair amount of Malibu pineapples.
Oh, yeah.
And We'll see what happens there.
Then we hop over to Lydia and Milton, and I wrote, they really like kissing.
Kissing is great, but also, like, lay on top of me.
She is teasing him relentlessly.
Right, but I think he's doing a fair amount of teasing too. And we sort of talked about that, how the banter is fun, but you have to know when to turn it off.
Right. I think they actually do, and we'll get into this a little later, but I actually do think they have a pretty great dynamic. Like the teasing, there's a time and a place. You got to pump the brakes a little bit and like be genuine. But she finally says that he's funny and smart. She's finally saying actual things about him that she likes, which is great.
But on the banter, jokey thing, Milton keeps correcting her English. And that's fine. She jokes about being Puerto Rican, and I think it's probably a defense mechanism. But it kind of started to rub me the wrong way because I was like, my guy, this woman has multiple master's degrees, and she is talking to you in her second language. How about you pump the brakes with correcting her every 5 seconds? And I do think that it goes both ways. And they joke about their age. It kind of felt like a little boy who has a crush on the playground and can't actually express his feelings. So he's like, you're stupid, you know? I don't know. Banter is great, but you have to know when to turn it off.
I completely agree. And hopefully they will at some point. I mean, they do when they're kissing. They're not teasing each other at that point. So now we go to JP and Taylor in the hot tub. He's wearing American flag trunks.
I don't have any problem with how people choose to dress, and I don't give a shit how patriotic you are. But your whole personality cannot be defined by the country that you live in. Like, I don't think there is a single person in Finland being like, do you have these swimming trunks with a Finnish flag on it? Does that happen in Finland?
No, I think we are I think maybe Puerto Ricans, Dominicans also are very, very patriotic, like to display their flags. I feel like Americans are relatively singular in that department in terms of the abundance of American flag clothing, paraphernalia, all the things.
It's going to get worse.
It's going to get a lot worse.
Just everyone be prepared. Trigger warning, a lot of patriotism.
A lot of patriotism and also just terrible humaning. I wrote, what is wrong with JP? Again, I said he's not giving her anything. And then can't remember what she asks him. Maybe you remember, but he says, well, I put the toilet seat down.
Well, because they were expressing nerves about getting married and starting a life together and how nervous she is because she says, if I get married, I'm not going to get divorced like my parents, which fine. I'm not going to harp on that. Taylor is trying.
Oh, trying so hard.
She is working so hard. She's like, what are your likes? What are your dislikes? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite? And JP is giving her nothing. She's like, what do we have to talk about? I wanted to be like, Taylor, ask him where he was January 6th. I'm sure he'd have a shit ton to talk about.
Thank you.
It was so awkward. This whole thing is going down like the Titanic. It's just so bad.
Yeah. He says he put the toilet seat down and he says it's a whole mindset change. Here's the thing. I'm done with that. I'm done with it. Put the toilet seat down. You haven't proved yourself as anything by putting just put the fucking shut up. He is acting like a junior high school boy who has never been alone with a girl before in his life.
He doubles down when he does the Woody Woodpecker kissing again. Like the multiple kisses, but like I feel like Taylor is entitled to compensation. For having to receive those kisses.
Oh, God. And it is strange that she doesn't. I mean, I think she's very nervous, and I think she's also sensing that the train is off the rails.
Right.
But it is a little weird that she's like, hey, that she doesn't say hey, can you... I mean, I guess it would have taken me a long time to say that to a partner.
I mean, if things are off in the kissing, there are things you can do. You can just say hey, this is how I like to be kissed. There's just ways you don't have to say you're fucking my face like a jackhammer with your mouth. But you can be sensitive and tell people what you want gently.
It could be that she's just so fucking nervous. And then we cut back to Izzy and Stacy. They're laughing. They're just laughing. They're having a good time.
We sort of have the juxtaposition of how the other couples are and how JP and Taylor are, because Izzy and Stacy are being all cute. Lydia and Milton are naked in the shower, which I was like,
already.
How are the camera people like, should we go?
Honestly.
I was like, are we in a porno here? Like, I'm not a prude.
Yeah.
I just would be like, can you guys go? Like,
Yeah, we're about to fuck in the
shower. Which I have already said is never good.
Although I will say that he can probably pick her up pretty easily, as long as he doesn't slip. And then we go to JP and Taylor.
Listen, JP isn't wearing American flag shorts, but they are red, white, and blue, probably like Tommy Hilfiger or something. Mm-hmm. Now I am actually honed in on his lips. Mm-hmm. Because he actually has like retracted lips. They look like two little thin sort of pieces of fruit roll up. The problem is actually his lips. Like, what is a bigger deal breaker than bad kissing?
Halitosis.
Yeah. How could you function your life with that? Kissing is the best.
Kissing is the best. It's so great.
My secondhand embarrassment for these kisses that he thinks are acceptable, and he's going to see. He's going to hear people's podcasts. He's going to see people talking about it on the internet.
Oh, he's going to be raked over the coals for this. This is like Matt James on The Bachelor kissing with his eyes open.
Yeah.
All the time. All the time. And finally, every bachelorette being like, can you close your eyes? So embarrassing. So at this point, I just wrote gaudy eyelashes. He tells Taylor that when they met in the tunnel of love, her eyelashes were gaudy.
Unnecessary.
That's a tiny preview of what's coming.
Put a pin in that. We're in the morning, by the way. We've assumed they've all fucked. I didn't get the sense that JP and Taylor had sex, right?
No.
I don't know if they like tried it or they just slept side by side.
Yeah.
And we see them all in the morning, and there's this over the bed shot. And this is how you know my brain isn't normal, because I was like, how did they get a camera up there?
That's a really good question.
Is a camera hanging from the ceiling fan? Like, I have logistical questions for production.
Or do they stop everybody and they're like, hey, we're going to move the camera a few feet away from the wall so we can get this shot now?
I have issues. Oh, yeah. And we get Izzy. Izzy says, last night was the best night of my life. And I was like, Izzy, either you at all times speak in absolute hyperbole, or I want to seriously have a talk about the things that have happened in your life and the people that are in them. Mm-hmm. You probably fucked. It was probably good and hot and exciting. The best night of your life?
Best night of your life, yeah. Best night of his life. Well, you know, he's never been given as much by anybody ever in his entire life than he has by Stacey. This is where we find out that he has a big dick.
Right.
Which I was surprised with because of the tight capris.
Yeah, but sometimes smaller men have fucking tripods.
No, absolutely. I just couldn't see any tripod action in those tight capris on the couch.
Grow up, Daisy. He's a grower, not a shower.
Okay. And then we find out that Stacey broke the toilet. And I was like, did they fuck on the toilet and they literally broke it? No, she took such a giant shit. She broke the toilet.
And they laughed at it. I was like, that's actually very cool. I would be mortified.
I've been with Kurt however long I've been with him, and I would be embarrassed now if that happened.
They seem happy. They really seem like the opposite of JP and Taylor. They seem to have an ease that they talk and they giggle.
Also, she looks completely different without her makeup on.
She looks like a totally different person.
She looks like Chelsea Handler, totally different person. And it makes me think, like, I wonder what a makeup artist could do on my face to make me look less like
less perfect.
That was
You're
good.
A nightmare.
So then we go back to JP and Taylor again as a complete opposite. Stacey's over there saying she broke the toilet, and JP and Taylor are like there might as well be elevator music playing in the background.
He has said a total of 27 words. You guys, they're actually talking about the temperature of their coffee.
Oh, God. I said the coffee is hot. Okay.
They talked about it for 6 minutes. I attribute none of this to Taylor.
No.
She is working her ass off for conversation. JP gives her one-word answers, shuts down the conversation, gives no follow-up questions, nothing.
No. He says, what am I supposed to do? And she says, well, you can just talk. And he says, I hate being forced to make conversation.
Yeah.
Jesus, guy.
Okay, having silence between you is actually a sign of intimacy. When things are easy and natural.
Right.
You guys just met each other for the first time. Talk about anything. Talk about how beautiful the resort is. Talk about Mexican history since you're in Mexico. Talk about America. Pick a topic and go with it.
Yeah.
But please, for fuck's sake, my butthole has been clenched for the whole 6 minutes you guys have been on my screen. Talk about something.
Yeah. Talk about something. And you can tell she's just like, what is happening? Why is this like this? It's awful. She's way too good for him. And then we go to Lydia and Milton. I wrote, she needs to chill with the teasing of him. Although then he shoots back with she's like, oh, you look like a tiny baby. You look like you're 21 years old. And he goes, well, you look old as fuck. And I was like, there you go.
I feel like that's some...
Get back in there.
I feel that's like an SNL skit when people are like... bantering and being like, you're stupid. No, you're stupid. Yeah, well, your mom's a fucking whore, and I fucked her 2 weeks ago just to check. And you're like, it just goes too far.
I loved it. I was like, do it, Milton. Fucking do it.
Oh, God. It was just so uncomfortable.
And then they have a brief conversation about when and if they want to have kids. 5 years, 10 years, 7 years. Okay.
They're way more into each other than I thought they were going to be. It could be just the honeymoon phase, but good on you. You guys are having
I know, it's surprising.
Fun, and they're talking. They have an ease with conversation. They were talking about how their sex was good last night. And Milton says, well, men can't have bad sex. I was like, are you sure about that?
Well, I did have an ex that said that sex was like pizza. Like there's no bad pizza. Of course, he hasn't been to Rhode Island.
I mean, I have had some sex where I'm like, if I fake an orgasm, will you stop?
Oh, yeah. Then Izzy and Stacy, pretty quick. Stacy says, please don't speak Spanish with Lydia at the beach hang that they're going to.
Do you think that's racist?
Oh, no, I just thought she was like, I don't want to not know what you're saying.
Do you remember when Rabia Chaudhry bought me a sari? You told Rabia that was racist.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I stand by that.
Oh, God. So now we're down at the beach, and JP is in, wait for it, another American flag shirt. I love my daughter more than anything. I would lay down my life for hers, but I actually don't think I've experienced what real love is, because I have yet to see anybody who loves anything more than JP loves the goddamn American flag. I've never seen anything like it.
And the goddamn country, I think.
Yeah.
As an extension of the flag. That is real.
It's so weird. Like, I like flower print. I don't.
It's not every piece of clothing.
I like fucking tie-dye. Like, it is baffling.
You're right. It is his entire personality.
It really is.
Izzy says, I look like a douchebag. And I just wrote, yes. Yes, you do. This is another juxtaposition. You've got Lydia and Milton and Stacy and Izzy, and they're frolicking. They're just laughing and lifting each other and falling in the waves. And JP and Taylor are just crickets.
So everyone is hanging out and having a blast. They're playing an intense game of cornhole. JP is more excited about the cornhole than he has been about Taylor this whole time. He's like, I will fuck up this cornhole. Yes!
Yeah.
I was like, aren't you excited about the beautiful teacher with like the big boobies and the pretty eyes and the sweet disposition who's just trying to ask you fucking questions? Or are you worried about throwing a beanbag into a hole across the beach? You fucking weirdo.
He's 13 years old. He stopped developing at 13.
Yeah.
And then Stacy makes a really bizarre surgeon analogy. And I don't remember who she was even talking about. But she's like, you know how the surgeon doesn't do anything? Like everybody else preps the surgery, and then the surgeon just comes in with his hands like this, and they put the gloves on, and he doesn't do anything. And I was like, well, that's not...
She was talking about Milton, but I didn't get it. It was like you with your jalopy analogy last week. I was
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, I can follow it. I have no idea what she was correlating it to.
I didn't either. And I was like, no, surgeons actually do. They do that because they're not supposed to touch. What are you talking about? But yeah, you're right. It was very close to my used Mazda Miata speech. So then Izzy and Lydia sit down to have one of those weird, awkward conversations. And Izzy will not stop fucking talking in this conversation.
Also, I was like, I don't feel like you guys needed. Like, Izzy was like, I need to talk to Lydia. He's like, I was really into Johnny, and then Stacy came along. I was like, what over-explaining? Like, and Lydia's like, cool. What? great.
Yeah, and he's not letting her talk at all, but she doesn't really need to. It's like he's been handed a shovel and it's like this conversation is not necessary. This is bad. And then she kind of shuts him down. She's like, I'm happy with the choice I made. I really like Milton. He seems like a great guy. And it's like record scratch. That's the end of that.
And then Stacey and Taylor are talking, and Stacey is talking about how much she likes Izzy. And you can see Taylor's poor face because you can tell they got really close in the pods. And Taylor is so upset. And she was like, he was so outgoing and he had this big personality in the pods. And now she's like, I just don't feel comfortable with him. It's just different. And then she says, maybe I made a mistake.
It's so sad.
I feel so bad for her.
I feel terrible for her. And at this point, I started to actually get scared of JP. Maybe it was just because of how quiet he was or how disconnected he was from what was happening. But like, to me, he seems like the kind of guy who sits on the couch drinking beer for the rest of his life and yelling. I got very uncomfortable. And she tries to have another conversation with him. And he says, I'm never going to give up. And I'm like, but you haven't even started.
Yeah, you haven't started. And he says, I feel like as soon as we got here, you wanted to leave. I was like, babe, she has been trying. And then she says, I just don't think this should be this fucking hard. I was like, yes, you should be laughing and fuck. That's it.
Drinking free alcohol, eating free food, and laughing and fucking.
Yeah, it's not hard. Like, you guys don't have bills to pay. You don't have family to deal with. You guys don't even have your fucking phone.
I know.
You guys just have the two of you to just do absolutely nothing. Sleep, nap, cuddle, eat, fuck, rinse, repeat. That's all you have to do.
What do you think they do? What do you think the two of them do for hours on end in that room? Like,
not fuck.
Ugh. And I wrote, I'm worried that she's going to talk herself into this relationship. And then my takeaway from that, first of all, they need like a therapy session. They need a mediator to be like, let's hear both sides. Because what I'm getting is like, she needs more from him because he's giving her nothing. And I feel like what he is interpreting that to be is like, I'm not enough for you.
But he's not doing anything.
I know.
Let's have a JP Taylor conversation. Who do you want to be?
I'll be JP.
Okay. Aren't these enchiladas good?
Mm-hmm.
Have you traveled to other places? Like, do you like food from other countries?
No.
Where have you traveled to?
Austin one time.
Oh, Austin. I have a cousin in Austin. It's actually really nice there. I would love to travel. We should get a passport and go somewhere. Where would you want to go if we could go anywhere?
Passport?
Well, I just think traveling is really cool and we're young and before we have kids. Like for me, for example, I would really love to go to Spain. I love all the Gaudi architecture. Do you know the Gaudi architecture?
You mean like your eyelashes?
No.
What do they eat there? I don't know. They eat like...
Too many words. Daisy, I don't mean to give you a note. Far be it from me for a non-Tony winner to give a Tony Award winner a note, but that was too much. At the end, they go into the water, and she's like, let's go into the water. You think it'll be cold? He's like, maybe. She's like, yeah, maybe a little cold. It's not too cold. It's just a little cold.
The coffee was hot, and the water is cold.
You guys are talking about temperatures. This woman, please, someone give this woman a shopping spree, a gift card of massages. This woman is working harder than the fucking Kardashians. She is, poor thing.
Airlift her out of there and help her out.
It ends with JP saying, I don't want to lose you.
Why? Why not? Lose what?
It is so confusing. It cannot possibly be the editing. This woman has tried so hard. I don't know what's going to happen. But we're halfway through, okay? Episode 5 is halfway through. Give me your thoughts on just a random prediction where we are right this moment.
Well, I have to say, like, I'm nervous to give a prediction because I fucking thought, we all thought JP and Taylor were going to walk off into the red, white, and blue sunset together. That's the most surprising. Milton and Lydia are also very surprising, but like fucking Stacey and Izzy are getting, like, nothing is what I predicted. Nothing. I assume at some point Izzy and Stacey will fight about I don't know.
I think this might be the worst season. Not in terms of watching it. I don't see any absolute connections. It was like last season we saw Brennan and Alexis. And whatever you thought, I mean, that was fucking hilarious. Her hot dad, who I was like, why isn't her dad on the show?
God.
But you knew they were into each other. You knew there was a for sure gonna get married. And then SK and Raven were a total wild card, but we grew to randomly love Raven. It was such a journey. This time I'm like, you all made a bunch of mistakes.
Yeah.
We need to start over. We need to all go back and let's do a redo.
I think in some ways, like, the producers went the same way the contestants did, where they were just like, let's be messy. And it's like, well, no, but we want to see connections. You're picking like insane people.
Yeah. Taylor and JP gave me whiplash. I did not expect this. He is a totally different person in the pods than he is face to face. His kissing is unacceptable. And Taylor, bless her, I have grown to love Taylor more. I actually was like pretty meh about her, and now I think she's fucking lovely.
I do too. I thought she was sweet before, and now I'm like, oh, you're here. You're with it. Please get out of that immediately.
Taylor, if you're listening and we're in the past, we both will take you under our wing. You can come hide out at our house. We will come pick you up. No questions asked. Please don't say I do.
Oh my God, please don't say, like, please don't even get anywhere near that point.
But that is the end of episode 5. My anxiety is through the roof.
Oh my God, so high. I can't sleep. I haven't pooped in a week.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Shut the Fuck Up, Nick Lachey. I am Ellyn Marsh.
And I am, of course, Daisy Egan.
We will be bringing you the rest of this season. I also think we should have some kind, I'm throwing this at Daisy live and in person. I think we should have like a live watch party for the weddings with all of our listeners.
Oh, yeah,
Wouldn't that be fun?
I think that would be fun. Either that or the reunions. But I think the weddings would be really fun, especially since if there's really only 2 of them, that'll just be one episode.
This is wild. Like, for example, I would go back and forth. Like, I thought SK and Raven were going to get married.
Yeah.
Then I didn't think Cole and Zanab were going to get married. And then when Cole proposed to Zanab, I'm like, wait, are they going to get married? And then Zanab read him for filth and washed the floor with his poor fucking emotions.
That was so gross.
I feel like we need to go back to that season.
I think we should cover all the past seasons.
Also, someone told me that Love is Blind Japan is the best of all of them. Ooh. Now I'm so intrigued.
Okay, we got to do it. Do you watch those in the original language with subtitles, or do you watch it with dubbing?
I would do subtitles. The dubbing throws me off because it never looks like the people are talking. And so I usually listen, but I read the subtitles. What about you?
They never get really good voice actors. I hate to say it, but like, I agree.
But if you are not already following us, please follow Grab Bag Collab on Instagram. They are giving you so much amazing content over there. You can find them at Grab Bag Collab. Where can they find you, Daisy?
Find me on the socials. Actually, at this point, just Instagram, but I will be better about TikTok. Daisy Egan, DAISYEGN.
Yep, that's a great one. I am at Ellyn Marsh. I spell my name with a Y. Please take it up with my mother. It has caused me no end of grief my entire life. And please listen to our other podcast. Daisy has one of my favorite podcasts, Strange and Unexplained, where she talks about some wild shit. She's got her really sexy Daisy voice when she does it. It's very cute.
Welcome to Strange and Unexplained.
And Dear Daisy, where you can write in about her secrets. I have yet to do it, but I'm going to send you a secret, and I'm not going to let you know it's me.
I can't wait, and I have 5 letters waiting for me to record like tomorrow or Monday, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
And if you want to tune into my other podcast, you can listen to I Think Not, my true crime podcast with Joey Taranto, the Dreamboat of Dreamboats, and my true crime talk show with Rabia Chaudhry, where we talk about everything with a guest. Daisy Egan will be on very soon, and I can't wait to connect with you all.
Thank you all so much for joining us. You know, fucking stay tuned for episode 6. It's coming at you really fast.
Yeah, or don't. Who are we, the police? You know what I mean?
Fair. We already got your money. We love you.
Love you. Bye.